Andre seems to be very much a total sprinter. I mean, he's a 100 guy and a 200 guy. Doesn't seem to emphasize one over the other. Do you have any comments on that, his versatility, and also prospects for him racing against Van Niekerk in the 200?
Yeah, well, I think the best sprinters can do 100 and 200, right? I think the best 100-meter guy should be the best 200-meter guy. Because 200 meters is just about knowing how to run the bend. It's knowing the tactics of the race and setting it up. And like we've seen with Usain, the best male sprinters in the world should be able to double their 100-meter time in the 200. So the world record in the 100 is 9:58, and you double that, and it's pretty much very close to the world 200-meter world record. So it's most sprinters, I think, can do that. Andre, if you ask him what he wants to do, he wants to focus on 100. He wants to be the guy, right? But he also understands that the 200 is important also. So it's we're going to continue training for both and see where that gets us.
Is there anything technically that when he came in, you said, this is something I want to work on, something in his...
Yeah, he didn't have a really good understanding of how to accelerate properly, right? He would be, your typical sort of sprinter thinks they need to stay low and dry for 30 meters and then stand up and sprint as fast as they can for the rest of the race. So he didn't really have a good understanding of sort of, blending all his phases together, rhythmically rising over time. So that's probably the greatest strength in his race is his rhythm. So to take the best advantages of the rhythm, you have to be super patient through the acceleration phase. So I think what we're seeing now, I knew that we were in trouble in the Olympic final when he was in third place at 40 meters. If he's in third place at 40 meters, he's not going to win the race. He needs to be further to the back. He's rushed his acceleration in that Olympic final. So he needs to be really, really patient, not get pulled into someone else's race. If somebody's ahead of him, he just needs to stay on his own lane, knowing that they'll come back to him at 80, 90, and 100 meters. So it's about understanding what his unique skills are and being very patient through the entire process.
Did you see anything from the race in Nassau, particularly, the 4x2, where he really got to go? That tells you anything about this season?
Yeah, difficult to say, right? It's a relay. It's 100 is really difficult to say, especially because you're accelerating off a bend. We know his top end speed is in really good shape right now. He's really fluid. He's pretty healthy. He's probably the healthiest he's been since he's got here. So it's we'll find out next week in Doha when he lines up against Gatlin and Musafa how that goes, when he can thread the whole race together. But the relays are different. I just know his top end speed is where it needs to be. We're probably a little bit behind where he needs to be at first 30 or 40 right now.
And is that by design or just because he's a little behind?
Yeah, well, he started training December 17th with us this year, right? And we got a few days in before Christmas, so we really didn't even start training until January. As soon as Rio was finished, he went back to school. He had to finish his degree. So, it's obviously by design, so we can't rush the process. One thing we can't change is time, right? We know where worlds are. They're not going to change worlds for us. We know we can train super hard twice a week. We know we can't do it 3 times a week. So we'll be where we're at. If we're behind, we're behind.
Coach, Andre, just his stature is a little smaller than most of the other guys who are sprinting at an elite level right now. How does that dynamic play into whether it's training or I guess how he competes as well?
Yeah, well, I'm a big believer in training athletes for their strengths. So I coached Dwayne Chambers in the UK, who's very big and very, very strong and very, very powerful. So we trained him as a big, strong, powerful sprinter. So we tried to take advantage of all the things that made him really unique. With Andre, it's the same. He's very elastic. He's very, very bouncy. He's very rhythmical. He's very coordinated. He's very smooth. So we try to select items in training which are going to take more advantage of those abilities. So he's just different. You look across the 8 guys who were in the Olympic final in Rio, and that's 8 very, very different athletes. From Usain, who's 6'5", 205 pounds, down to Andre and everything in between. So there's a lot of unique movers there. So I don't think there's one way. Obviously, Usain's he's got the world record. So, if we could have everybody at 6'5", 205 pounds, you could, cover 270 centimeters every stride. Great, but we don't have that, right? So we got to take advantage of what the unique abilities that the athlete has that we train.
Do you feel that there is a difference from back in, say, the 80s or the 90s when it seemed like more of the 100-meter guys were just big, huge muscle men, and that there is more diversity in
Yeah,
body
man,
types.
I
I would think maybe not.
Yeah, I'm not sure about that. I mean, Mo Green was pretty small. You know, John Drummond was pretty small. Yeah, they're quite muscular, but they're fairly small guys, right? Otto Bolden wasn't a very big guy. Frankie Fredericks, not a very big guy. You know, Frankie's not much bigger than Andre, right? And he had a pretty good career. So
Yeah, but those guys were muscular. I mean, there's no doubt.
Yeah, you know, some of them were. Some of them were. You know, I think we forget. You know, Andre's still only 22 years old,
Right.
21 or whatever he is.
Right.
You know, it's 2 or 3 more years. Maybe he'll look like Mo Green. Probably not, but you know.